Ever feel like just a tiny spark, it could spiral into something huge, like a major fire?
Definitely. It's a fear for a lot of people.
Well, today we're diving deep, and I mean deep, into the world of those high-tech heroes preventing exactly that. Optical flame
And
detectors.
silent guardians of so many spaces.
Exactly. And we're focusing on the science behind MSA Safety's models, specifically the FL500, the FL500H2, and then that really impressive FL5000.
And you've come to the right place to decode how these models work.
Absolutely. We're going to break it all down. Our mission, if you will, is to give you the knowledge, the power to choose the absolute best detector for any scenario. Imagine this. You're in charge of fire safety, let's say at a huge, busy manufacturing plant. What's your best bet for catching a fire early?
It's a great question, and it often starts with understanding the tech. So two of these models, the FL500 and FL500H2, they use this really clever combo of ultraviolet and infrared sensors, or what we call UVR detection.
UVIR. So is that kind of like having a fire-sensing superhero with like X-ray vision but also heat vision at the same time?
I like that analogy. Yeah, you're spot on. Each type of light, the UV and the IR, they each give off a totally unique signal when there's a fire. Using them together, means these detectors are extra careful, They help prevent those annoying false alarms, like if a car's headlights pass by.
Oh, those pesky false alarms. So how does this two-pronged approach, this UVIR, actually work in real time?
Okay, so picture this super vigilant guard dog, always on alert.
Always watching.
Exactly. So these UVIR detectors, they have a small electrical current that's constantly running, a 4-minute steady state, just ready to jump into action. If the sensors detect a potential fire, like that telltale UV and IR signature we talked about, the current jumps to 16 MA, and we call this the instant alarm.
Okay, so far so good, but then it gets a little weird, right? It doesn't just immediately go full-blown fire alarm.
You caught that, didn't you?
Yeah.
There's a slight delay, usually around 8 seconds, give or take, depending on how it's set up, but still, a pause. This is where that gate technology, it's really quite clever, kicks in.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting, isn't it? Why the hesitation? Why not just immediately act if there's even a chance, even a tiny chance of a fire?
Well, think of it like the detector saying, hold on a sec, let me just double check. That initial 16 MA signal, it could be a false alarm, someone striking a match nearby or something. That delay avoids, those unnecessary evacuations and disruptions.
So it's like giving the situation a second thought before it's like, whoop, whoop, everyone out. This is not a drill.
Precisely. Now, if that fire signal continues, if it's really the real deal, the current jumps up to 20 MA. That's when it triggers the alarms, the sprinklers, you name it.
Wow, that is some really smart tech. But you mentioned strengths and weaknesses. What makes these UVI detectors really shine?
Well, take the FL500, for example. It's really ideal for environments where hydrocarbon fires are the main concern.
So like gas stations, right? Or manufacturing plants, anywhere dealing with fuels like gasoline, oil, that sort of thing.
You got it. The FL500 really excels at picking up the specific light signatures that those fires produce. Plus, it's got this wide field of view, like 130 degrees. It can see a really large area.
So kind of like having eyes in the back of its head, but fire safety style.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the FL500H2. Similar strengths, but with an added benefit. It can detect hydrogen fires.
Oh, wow. And that's becoming so much more important now with hydrogen being used more and more.
Absolutely. It's crucial as we, as a society, move toward greener energy. Both of these models have that wide field of view, which is critical. 125 degrees for the FL500H2.
Really maximizes coverage, so they sound pretty amazing. But like any superhero, they gotta have some weakness, some kryptonite. What could potentially trip them up?
Their kryptonite is anything that blocks their vision. We call it blinding. Things like dirt, soot, even too much water vapor.
So even a little dust could mess with these superpowers.
Unfortunately, yes, especially for that UV sensor. UV light can actually travel really long distances, and it can reflect off surfaces.
Right.
So that can cause a false alarm.
Oh, no. So it might see a reflection and think, fire, but it's just a trick of the light.
Exactly. Now, this doesn't mean they aren't effective. It's just something to keep in mind. And that's where the FL5000 comes in, taking a completely different approach. This one uses multispectrum infrared technology, or MSIR.
MSR. Okay, that sounds intense. What's the secret with this one?
Instead of 2 sensors like the UVIR models, the FL5000 uses 4 infrared sensors.
Ooh.
4.
Wow.
And each one is tuned to a different wavelength.
Okay.
It's like having a whole team of detectives, but for fire.
I like it.
each with their own specialty.
So it's analyzing the fire's signature in way more detail.
That's exactly.
There's no fooling this one.
It allows the FL5000 to basically filter out all that background noise that might confuse a UVIR detector.
Right.
Leads to far fewer false alarms.
Less of those annoying "is this thing on" moments.
Exactly. And remember those dirty, oily environments we talked about?
Yeah.
This is where the FL5000 really shines.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned self-cleaning capabilities.
Oh, yeah.
That's some seriously next-level stuff.
Imagine a self-cleaning oven.
Okay.
But for fire detectors,
I'm with you.
the FL5000 uses heated optics to prevent all that grime, that dirt and soot from building up,
Wow.
even condensation.
No more dust bunnies causing catastrophes.
That's the idea.
That's amazing. Okay, so we've got this like super sleuth MSIR detector, but are there places where those speedy UVR detectors are still the better option?
Well, their biggest strength is definitely speed.
Right.
In those situations where every second counts.
Yeah.
Those UVIR detectors can be real lifesavers.
So if you've got a fire that spreads really quickly, those UVIR detectors are still super important.
Absolutely. And the FL500 is still the champ when it comes to sniffing out hydrocarbon fires.
Right.
Plus, both the FL500 and the FL500H2 have that really wide field of view.
It's like having those security cameras that can see a huge area.
Yeah, exactly.
Really maximizes coverage.
Yeah, it does. You don't need a detector every 5 feet.
That's awesome. All right, so we've covered a lot of info here
We have.
to help us make sense of it all. Let's take a look at this table from MSA Safety.
Okay.
It's got all the key benefits of each model summarized really nicely.
Sounds good.
So we've got the model number, the tech it uses, the types of fires it can detect, and then some bonus perks.
Great.
The FL500 looks like a real workhorse.
Yeah.
UVIR tech, great for avoiding those false alarms and that 130-degree field of view.
It's a good one. And then there's the FL500H2.
Yeah.
All the same great stuff, but with that hydrogen detection.
Which is so important these days.
It is for sure. And then we have the FL5000.
The overachiever.
Right. Our top-of-the-line model. Incredible detection range.
Yeah.
Almost no false alarms, thanks to that multi-spectrum infrared technology.
And it's got all the bells and
All
whistles.
of them.
Heated optics, heart communication Bluetooth.
Yep.
Incredible test lamp response.
It's the executive suite of fire detectors.
It really is.
Yeah.
So it's clear that choosing the right flame detector is not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Not at all.
It's about really understanding what you need and finding that perfect fit.
Exactly. You wouldn't use a screwdriver to hammer in a nail.
True.
Each detector has its own strengths and weaknesses.
So true.
It's about picking the right tool for the job.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, so we've talked about how these amazing devices work, what makes them unique. How does hydrogen fuel play into all of this?
Yeah, that's a really important question as we transition to cleaner energy sources.
Because you've got hydrogen cars and for hydrogen.
Power.
Yeah, and the thing about hydrogen flames is that they're practically invisible.
What?
You might not even realize there's a fire until it's too late.
So how do you even begin to fight something you can't see? Well, that's where detectors like the FL500H2 are so important.
Right.
Because they can detect the unique light signature of a hydrogen fire.
Even if we can't see it ourselves.
Exactly.
Wow. So these detectors, they're not just keeping up with the times.
No, they're not.
They're ahead of the game.
Absolutely.
Ready for this whole hydrogen-powered future.
As hydrogen becomes more common, these types of detectors are going to be so important.
It's really all starting to come together now. But before we wrap up, I want to go back over those key takeaways.
Sure.
Make sure everyone listening is walking away feeling like a fire safety expert.
Sounds good to me.
We talked about the FL5000, that super advanced one with the self-cleaning and the multi-spectrum infrared.
Right.
It's really amazing tech.
It is.
We talked about the strengths, the weaknesses of each model.
How important it is to really know your needs.
Exactly. Not every detector is right for every situation.
It's about finding the right tool for the job.
It's like we've stepped into a whole new world of fire safety. But it's not all about the future, is it? This knowledge, this understanding we're talking about,
It's powerful.
it helps us right now, today.
It empowers you to ask the right questions.
Whether you're at work, at home.
Anywhere, really.
So after listening to this deep dive, you're not just walking away with a bunch of facts about fire detectors.
Hopefully not.
You're walking away empowered.
Yeah.
You're asking yourself, what are the fire risks I need to be prepared for?
What kind of environment am I dealing with?
Which detector is going to be my best defense?
Exactly. Those are the important questions.
It's about understanding the nuances.
Those trade-offs between how fast it detects and how accurate it is.
Choosing between a really watchful guard dog
And a super meticulous detective.
it's about making smart choices for you, for your family, for everyone around you.
It's about peace of mind.
Exactly. And as we move further into this future of predictive fire detection,
Staying ahead of the curve is key.
embracing those new technologies to make the world a safer place.
A world where fire doesn't stand a chance.
So to everyone listening, next time you see a fire detector, take a second and think about the tech behind it.
The science.
That's brilliance.
It's more than just a box on the wall.
It's a symbol of our ingenuity, our dedication to safety and protection.
Protecting what matters most.
That wraps up our deep dive into the world of optical flame detectors. We hope you enjoyed it, learned a lot, and maybe even feel a little bit safer.
Stay curious, everyone.
Stay informed.
And stay safe.